Can you do with a Wraith Knight? Maybe. Although Wraith Knight, surprisingly though, it beats your double Dread Knights. It D's out your Dread Knights with shooting and kills them in combat before they can. Oh, you don't have Force on yours, do you? None of them have Force. Wow, this actually is a mind game. Because the Wraith Knight hard trumps your Dread Knights, but your Conclave hard trumps the Wraith Knight. Alright guys, so we're back.
We've had a bit of banter.
We've had a bit of banter. We've had a bit of I know you're going to do this, which we encourage you not to do in the actual process. We had to look up a few things. We had to look up the initiative of Wraith Knights. We had to look up. You looked up something, didn't you?
I had to double check whether my Dread Knights
had
Nemesis Demon.
Yes, he had. His sideboarded Dread Knights do have the Force weapons. So I've chosen a sideboard, and Shawn, you seem to have come upon something.
I'm ready.
So we're going to do a swap now. We encourage you to simultaneously hand the picked sideboard you have across, so that there's absolutely no sense that there is any kind of baiting or anything like that. Okay, so let's do a swap.
There we go.
There we go.
So Jeremy picked the list that I thought he was going to pick. I thought that there was... So just we'll reveal.
Let's reveal. Yeah, okay, so Shawn's picked his Lib Conclave, which I'm really happy to see that. So I think I won the mind game.
Oh, you think so? I was expecting Jeremy to pick his Colexus. I thought that was coming because I'm already playing a Psychic Army. Why wouldn't he take the Colexus? What I've done is I took my Lib Conclave because I think that I can outplay him using Psychic powers and summoning demons. So my strategy in this matchup would be to do a lot of summoning, getting screamers and things like that, and then hitting his backfield with these, sweep attacks.
That's cool. So I did choose my Colexus.
Yep.
So in this matchup, we've got my Colexus in a bunker with my monofilament batteries versus Shawn's Lib Conclave with bikes and jump packs. So just let's break down what the process was here. So we have I had some options. So my first thought was Shawn's got two very polarizing plays. I'm pretty certain he's not going to take his Thunderfire against me just because it's a counter play and it's countering stuff that I don't really have in my core list. I don't have like an abundance of MS. I mean, I do, but it's not my most threatening element.
Yeah, the Thunderfire would only be relevant against one of your sideboards predominantly.
Yes, with the Warp Spiders.
So I'm not going to take that 1 in 3
chance. Exactly.
Straight off the bat.
So I was kind of thinking, okay, my Wraith Knight, if it had the sword, if it had the D sword, would be pretty good against Dread Knights in combat. With the D cannons, it's quite good at shooting them. Like you can legitimately sit back and plug at Dread Knights and take them out one at a time. Or even if you could split the shots to allow yourself to do more overkill, or minimize overkill. But I feel that my Dread Knight is just, the Wraith Knight is just too vulnerable to his Death Star. Even if he didn't go the Conclave, it's only 3-up save.
It's a bully model that it can't bully.
Yeah, it can't because Hammerhand, you've got base Hammerhand and Force and AP3 on your, that's just Terminators. So just the Terminators alone deal with it. So it's not good versus Star, and it actually can lose to Dread Knights quite easily. Even if it does sit in cover, if it gets to strike first, it still will struggle to do 4 wounds to the Dread Knights.
Without that D weapon, yes, it will struggle.
And without the shield, importantly as well.
Yep.
So I kind of felt that the Wraith Knight was not possible, but then the decision was actually the Warp Spiders or the Colexus. It's closer than probably people might think because Warp Spiders are very, very good versus Dread Knights. They can actually just kill Dread Knights in one volley with the Ballistic Skill 5 from the
and they have the MSU to play around a star. They have that capacity to sort of go forward and backwards. And as we spoke about Grey Knights being very mobile, they can play around a star and apply damage from angles that their
movement's so good that they can actually get to angles that you wouldn't expect, and they can hit you from flanks and kill Terminators and just eat the star from the inside out.
Yep.
So the Warp Spiders were a really good option, but the reason why I chose to go with my Colexus is just because you have to come at me, right? I look at my list, I'm like, okay, I had to look back at my list. I've got a lot of Scatter Lasers on bikes.
Yep.
I've got Dark Reapers with Starshot missiles that admittedly they're only AP3, but they're gonna put wounds on Dread Knights as you said, and 4 saves. I've got my D battery, right, which is like it's a long range threat, but it's only 24 inches. So I felt like my Colexis sideboard not only gave me the Colexis in a bunker, which can counterplay you when you come at me, but it also gives me those monofilament batteries that can punish you if you gate, and also gives me that extended, extra long range threat that I can use to finish off Dread Knights, plug away at your star, go for Libbies and stuff that are perils. So it gives me a lot of extra utility. So for me, at the end, despite the aspect host's power, and the thing is, if I didn't have that Colexis if that was a different sideboard, I'd feel quite happy taking an aspect host. Yeah. But I just think the Colexis option is better versus.
It's the more rational one.
Yeah. So what was your rationale?
I arrived at the same conclusions you did, and I thought, look, his best option here is the Colexis, and irrespective of whether I take Dread Knights or the Librarian with Thunderfires, they're still not good options against the Colexis. The barrage, my barrage Thunderfire cannons aren't going to be effective enough against the rest of your army to do stuff, and the Colexis will just stop my army from doing any work. So I'm like, he has to take the Colexis here. He's almost forced to. And then I was thinking about how I'd play around that Colexis. So I sort of thought that even if I take, because the Colexis will straight up, hands down, win a fight against one-on-one against a Dread Knight. So it counters the Dread Knights. My Thunderfires aren't going to be good enough. I think with the Conclave, I can MSU out enough that I can then start summoning and I can get more value from that angle.
So you've gone down there. You're planning to go for the summoning.
I would be going for summoning. I'd probably have at least 2 Librarians on summoning, and then I would be looking to keep them more than 12 inches apart, so that I could then be
looking for sacrifice, trying to roll up
Sacrifice is really good. I'd be looking to try and summon 2 units per turn. On turn 1, I want to summon 2 units.
Well, you obviously can't if they're in the same unit.
Oh, sorry. So the summoning, sure, but I mean the things like incursion, sacrifice, possession. Yeah. So there's a few different powers, but the point is that I probably would keep them far enough apart
that you
could
that
I would be still using both Libbies to cast.
No, but they can't. If they're in the same unit, they can't
both cast summoning.
Spell. Yeah,
but one could cast incursion, and the other one could cast summoning.
So yeah, that's a good strategy. I think against if you were going down that route, the game would play out a lot more interestingly, a lot more slowly and technically than if you just came at me because you were just lose.
Well, I would try and bait the Colexis out early on. So what I would do is I would throw both the Dread Knights in pretty hard and fast. The idea being that the Colexis, whilst it's in the bunker, doesn't debuff. So I would probably throw invisibility on the Dread Knights if possible, both. I would move them forward and say, unless you can D out this Dread Knight, it's going to charge your monofilament, it's going to charge your D batteries, and it's probably going to take him out.
That's a pretty good strategy.
So I would try and bait you into getting the Colexis out of the bunker.
Forcing myself to debuff it.
As soon as he's out, I would then make plays from there.
Yeah. Because looking at my list, if you do have invisibility on a Dread Knight, things like the Warp Spiders, because I do still have 6 natural Warp Spiders in my list.
Yes, you do. Yeah, granted.
Warp Spiders hitting on 6s, D batteries scattering a lot, like Ballistic Skill 1. I would probably be, against you, my Farseer obviously is going to get shut down a lot. I'm only looking at, I think I've got 2 Warlocks in my army, or maybe 3. I think it's just 2. So I'm looking at 5 passive dice against your will be 15
plus 17 natural.
Yeah, so I'm not expecting to. Definitely can't get any offensive spells off. So I'd be looking at what would be the best defensive spell. I'd say probably invisibility is my best spell as well. Yep. Even prescience actually.
Prescience is
maybe
really good.
Even prescience is better because that's a spell that I could kind of comfortably throw all my dice at. And just say, I've obviously got runes of the Farseer. Maybe keep 1 dice just to use for avoid the perils, the wound, and just kind of try to counterplay your invisibility by saying, okay, I can give my Warp Spiders rerolls or something, or even my D batteries rerolls, which obviously we know in the FAQ. We're using Oz FAQ. We're not using ITC, so you can only reroll the first. But still helps getting that first hit, that original one.
Another play which I forgot to mention initially was that with the summoning, I'll be looking, because you'll be using the escape hatch, and you'll be probably placing that very aggressively. So I would be looking to sort of turn 1, summon some Screamers, and hit into that escape hatch.
I think we looked at that. I don't think it works into the escape hatch. I think it's only access points for the building, which is only the actual...
Right. Only access points?
I believe it is. I believe it's not 5 points.
Okay, we'll have to check. We'll have to clarify.
It's
only 5 points.
It's only 5 points, not access.
We'll have to double check that.
I think the wording says 5 points, not access points.
Okay. Well, that's something I'd have to
We'll have to check, but you know, that's something that would work out.
Yes.
Whether you can definitely hit. Just to clarify, you can definitely hit into the building with flamers with the no escape. We're just trying to clarify whether it's actually target the escape hatch.
Right.
But yeah, that would be pretty cool if you could do that.
Yeah. It's a big if.
Well,
We'll look into it.
That's a legitimate play though. Like if you could somehow, because the problem with just for those that are wondering why this is so relevant, since the GWFAQ that said that auras, like the Calexis aura does not emanate from inside, means that what Shawn could do is gate his star right up to my... Let's just presume that I was correct and you can't actually flame into the hatch. He can still gate right up to the bunker. If it's not adequately bubbled, he could flame into it.
Yep.
And I'm not debuffing him, so he can still generate his warp charges normal and all that, and cast things like you could cast the template, like the Fiery Breath template.
I don't know if that would work purely because the Calexis is immune to all
No,
psychic
but you're not
powers.
targeting the Calexis.
I agree with that, but I'd have to look at the wording on that one.
So we'll look at that. But there's some
There's
interesting
a few little
things there.
thoughts there, yeah, for sure. I mean, as Jeremy's saying, no escape is a really good way to kill out that Calexis because we know it has natural invisibility, basically. So it's very hard to just shoot off the board. But when it's inside a transport, if you get that no escape rule on it,
just base
D6 hits on a T4 model with a 4-up invul.
Yeah, you don't need many wounds.
Probably going to go down.
If you could get a couple, saturate with a couple of templates on it, which is why if you could have squeezed a couple more flamers onto your Dread Knights, you only got the one.
Yeah.
But if you had say 3 incinerators, I think your Dread Knights alone would be because they're Tyrant would be really, really good. Just like flame out a Calexis.
Yep.
You don't even have to worry. But then again, a Calexis isn't as good versus Dread Knight sideboard anyway.
When I was making that Dread Knight sideboard, I realised that like Dread Knights can very easily 1v1 things like an Imperial Knight and or a Wraith Knight. It is possible for them to 1v1 them in the right circumstances. Yeah. So that's why I gave them the hammers, and I thought, look, this is probably my anti-Big Gribbly play.
Yeah.
I wasn't too concerned about your Wraith Knight purely because of, as we said, my star can kind of bully it anyway.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think this very interesting sideboard choice. I'm happy with the fact that Shawn chose Lib Conclave because I feel like the Calexis gets a lot of value if I can obviously get right in there.
Yep.
But Shawn's kind of got a very good counterplay. He's choosing to go down a more of a long game summoning route, which means that he doesn't need to kind of just come out my face and just die. He can play a more control style game, look for backfield summoning, get more and more dice, and just overwhelm me with summoned demons.
Admittedly, it's not going to be an easy game. It would not be an easy game purely because of all the sheer and volume of scatter lasers you have. Because as we said before, 36-inch range, it's very easy for you to apply pressure on me whilst you're defended by that Calexis. I guess my game plan, as I said, would be to either bait the Calexis out nice and early, to then be able to kill it, or to try and find a way
I think
to
that
flame it down.
legitimately, if you could shunt 2 Dread Knights up and get invisibility on both of them,
Yep.
I
would probably do it.
I would have to. I would have to do something because I could not kill. I might be able to kill one, just while it's invisible.
You reckon?
That's even an it.
Would you take that risk?
What I would probably do, I'll be honest with you, I would cast invisibility on my Vol's Wrath. Sorry, I'd cast prescience on my Vol's Wrath D.
Yes.
I would just go for try to get a hit.
Yep.
So I've got a couple. I can obviously got 2 chances to roll a hit, or if I roll, a 3 and it scatters, it'll be
still hit.
Yeah, exactly. So if I can roll a low amount and get a small scatter, then D's on top of that will get me started on killing it
For sure. 3 hits with D is pretty good.
Even 2, like, and if I get the first hit, it's all going to hit because all the flips will still hit it. But if I can get 2 or 3 hits with D, then it's unless you get lucky with your invulns, I'd be pretty happy.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be my play, but I think it would. I think this legitimately, and this is what's good about this system, boys and girls, if you're watching, is even if one could be perceived as us having a catalyst to the other before the game started, we've been able to use our sideboards to equalize, to create a situation where we don't know who would win now. Like this game, if it was going one-sided before, it's now not, because Shawn's been able to say, okay, this is a win condition I've been able to say this is a way I can counter his list. So now we've got a game that we legitimately don't know how it would go.
And I'd be very excited to play the game. And also, it's worth noting, I enjoyed that process. which I'll probably put up on the video, let's be
You
honest.
can time lapse it and just
Yeah,
put it
I
up
want to time
quickly.
lapse that up because that was a really interesting sort of back and forth, bit of a mental game there, and we're both sort of trying to bait each other a little bit. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's legitimately fun, guys, and I know that you know that it's a bit daunting. It is a bit daunting, especially if you feel like you know you might be because we play a lot of the people attending Menza Open will be Victorians, so people are used to community comp, and there's a stigma that uncomped is this harsh wilderness of just of you know radiation and zombies and all these things.
Fallout 4.
Yeah. But once you kind of realize that the mechanics you use to win games in community comp, the same mechanics work in comp. So yeah,
It's the same game.
it is the same game.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. And hope just lastly, before we end this video, last reminder, sign-ups Saturday. This coming Saturday, get those payments and lists in.
Yep.
If you have any questions, if it gets to Thursday night or Friday night and you're unsure, you're still a bit daunted by what happens, how does it work with adding units, seriously, just message Shawn or me.
Yep.
And we will seriously get back to you.
Just drop me a line, guys. We'll be accommodating. I know that lists are cut off at a certain time, whatever, but if you've got family problems or whatever your excuse may be, we will definitely accommodate. So just work hard, get the lists in, get payments done, get signed up, we'll get this ball rolling.
Thanks, boys. See you next time.
See you guys there. Cheers.